Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, happy Saturday, happy weekend. This is USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network where we celebrate and honor elevated listening. Our show today is presenting Pet Psychic AMINAH, and our topic is what's a good first pet for you to give to a child? It is the holiday season, and I think that I don't have any statistics, but many times people like to grow their family and also to buy their children a wonderful pet. Let's welcome the expert, Pet Psychic AMINAH. Hello.
We have many of us in this field, so don't feel like you just need my voice. I'm thrilled to give you the free information on doing this better, especially if you're getting a pet for a child. It's not recommended. They are not. Let me put it this way: you're getting a pet for yourself, and your children will enjoy it. Because unless a child has the capability of paying the vet bills, being there to feed them and every day, and a lot of teenagers can't do it, and toddlers can handle it, so you're there for it. So truly, this is the parent's pet. I want them to be crystal clear. I have so many sad stories on people who got their children pets and just got so frustrated that, and it was age not necessary. It's ageless. The child didn't need to be under 10 or over 13 or 17. The problems still happen. It happens for adults. We get busy. If you're going to take on a life, this is the biggest statement I want to carry throughout this time that we're together today. If you're taking on a life, please go into a lot of research on seeing what your day-to-day life is like over the year, because it changes by seasons, especially if you have children in school and then they're out of school, and then what happens if they're homesick, and or do you work? What type of pet is good for you is going to be different than maybe your neighbor or your sister or your brother. A type of pet really, really matters. Getting a pet strictly with any expectations from the parents that this is their child's responsibility. They want to teach them responsibility. I am all for teaching responsibility. But if you're going to do a pet, maybe a goldfish. That is a little bit more forgiving. They need to wash the tank. They need to feed them, but they don't need to take them for walks, clean up their poops, just washing the tank. It's a lot less work. Stair-step your family into pets, especially if this is not something that the parents are necessarily experts at, or peri-experts, or have had a pet when they were younger, but it didn't go well, so they didn't have a positive experience. Please foster. Let me introduce that whole concept to so many people. Dr. Jacalyn, do you know you can actually go and help the shelters by going and petting the pets?
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that.
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the animals that are in shelters today. Used to be they were, because people were overbreeding and they go to shelters. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But you and I can remember a time where people had free puppy signs on the front lawn, like a garage sale, or during their garage sale. And we would travel all over the world with my family, and you could find puppies here, puppies there, and people didn't necessarily sell them in those days, but spay and neuter wasn't as educated. People weren't as educated about how vital spay and neutering were and was and still is. We don't need more animals. We need to have empty shelters. Every shelter will tell you their entire mission would be to be out of business. I don't know any other business that wants to be out of business. The animal shelters would like that. They would love to have empty spaces. because that means the message is getting through is we have too many babies. We have so many people, purebreds, mixed breeds, oops, accidentals, because I just didn't get her fixed. Whatever the chain is on how they happen, we have too many animals for not enough people having the ability or the time or the money to feed them and house them. If you go into any neighborhood, it's a not even a 50-50 chance, it's probably a 60-40 chance conservatively that you're going to see a stray cat.
I just saw two yesterday. I can't believe you said that, in this very upscale area where I was driving. I was like, what are these stray cats doing?
Right. Because somewhere, somebody either threw them out and said, no, you go do your thing, or they're owned by somebody, but they're outdoors so much, everybody thinks they're a stray. And they weren't prepared for how much food. They weren't prepared for vaccinations. They weren't prepared for whatever the ... is after that. So I'm encouraging you, before you decide that, oh, I always wanted a puppy when I was little, my parents said no, and we fulfill it through our children. Maybe you have a child that doesn't like pets or isn't mentally, physically capable of handling a pet at this point. My suggestion is start fostering if you want them in your home. There are so many places that have too many babies. And we are in December now. We have about 3 months, and we're going to hit kitten season, puppy season. Animals tend to cycle with the weather. So as it warms up, you're going to see an onslaught of baby everythings, especially the dogs and cats. So please go to your shelter, sign up for their fostering program. It is wonderful for children. And guess what? You can take them back. you can take them back. They're
Have an open door policy.
Yes, expecting them to come back. So there's no pressure on you. You can really teach your children so much about getting things they want. If you are getting the latest CDs or the latest video or uploading the latest technology every time it happens, you must be a billionaire, because there's so much happening. Pets are not able to just be returned to the store or put on a shelf and say, oh, well, that didn't work out for us. This is a living, breathing, sentient life. I want to really, if we had a ticker tape banner over my head, just imagine it's there. This is a living, breathing life. And it has the right, even if we're the ones who caused the birth of a whole nother litter, even though we didn't spay and neuter, whatever that is, this is not the guilt trip. That's not my style. It is just logic and understanding that, okay, that happened. Now what are we going to do? What do we do with these 6, 10, 12 puppies that are lives? They're alive. And you hope they go to good families. But I'm going to help the good families become good families. So foster. Think about getting in there and helping a puppy or kitty or whatever. Not goldfish. They don't train really well. They can be, but no, this is that conversation. Try any of those bunnies, guinea pigs. They have lots of babies too. And if they've been handled gently, if they've been taught to sit, specifically the dogs, and or be around people or small children, can you imagine when they go back into the shelter, how much more quickly they will be adopted and find a forever home? This is what I'm asking you to do before you adopt, especially if the parents are not aware or haven't had a lot of pets or any pets. This is great for the whole family to say, wait a minute, let's try this jacket on. Does it fit? Is it warm enough? It will protect us from the snow. You do it in the stores. The shelters are, especially as we come into the spring, are going to be swamped with babies. So it's a great time to adopt, yes, but it's also a great time to foster. So really, really want to encourage you to do that first. If your neighbors had puppies or kittens or any kind of animal babies that you think will be a great learning experience, now don't be that parent that just goes over there for free babysitting and drops their kid off at the neighbor with the puppies because they've already got enough. Participate. You need to learn alongside them. If you have experience as a child, adult, whatever, with having pets, that's terrific. That adds to what you really know you want to point out to the kids. Depending on their age, anybody under 5 needs more supervision than anybody over 5. And somebody over 10, again, there's no hard, true, fast map here. I'm giving you broad things, but when you get out of into 10, they're physically able to do more, but concentration wise, children are limited sometimes in their focus. So you might get a pet that squats to go to the bathroom and the cat, dog, whatever, and the child goes, oh, I couldn't catch it. So cats are great with litter boxes. Some have a hard time with that, so you'll have to check that out. But the dog is about going out and going potty, but somebody has to let him out. They can only hold it so long, and you don't want them urinating on the furniture and marking it, because I'll tell you, getting that smell out on a dog level, because we can stop smelling it. But if you have to use bleach or something like that, I can't imagine that's good for your furniture. So what I'm asking is, there are a lot of factors in adopting. Foster first. Get involved with the shelter. Now, there is an age for volunteers, but that doesn't mean you guys can't go and visit and talk to the staff about what is involved. They have pamphlets. There are amazing YouTube videos, including my own, that we talk about this type of event in your family's life. These are really, really important things to think about on the age of your children. Maybe you're a single and you're all by yourself, but you've never had a pet before. Be kind to yourself. Foster if you can first. Especially if this is a first pet of your own. And now it does help if your family's had pets and you have some experience. But every animal is as different as every person on the planet. So it's a place to start.
All right. Great information there. Thank you. I do want to say hello to one of our team members, Maria Eduardo, joining us from St. Martin. Hello. You can see Maria on A Woman's Prerogative on Monday. Thanks for being with us, Maria. So, Pet Psychic Amina, one thing I'd love to have us chat about is, in addition to fostering, maybe someone is contemplating getting a pet that is not a dog or a cat. Maybe they're thinking of getting a hermit crab or a guinea pig or a snake or a lizard or a turtle. Any suggestions you have about these types of pets?
Yeah, we actually adopted a horse. that took a whole different kind of a acquisition of getting a barn for him and medication, because our horse actually was allergic to alfalfa. So guess what horses eat? Alfalfa and grass. And I had a lot of trouble with the vets. And once they saw it, it was like, oh, that's a thing. So going back to what you said, when you're going to get any type of animal, first thing to do, with kids, without kids, with you, research the animal. So let's say you want a bearded dragon. They're magnificent. They're wonderful. They shed, they have special food. Crickets, no crickets. They have to have a certain temperature and a heat light. There's a lot to know. Try to find somebody online. We have such an amazing time where we have Facebook, YouTube, and so many platforms that you can go and watch videos of people who love sharing, just like Dr. Jacalyn and I are doing, and all of the people on this channel. We love sharing and helping people live a better life. And mine is about you doing it well with your pets, or the animals in your life, or even the bug you walk by. We need the spiders. I keep saying, don't kill the spiders. Just tell them to live on the left. So you have at your disposal tons of free information, not just mine, but many, many other specialists. So before you choose a pet, see if you can find somebody who has a dog, a cat, a lizard, a spider, whatever you're looking for. We are so fortunate to have the YouTube and many other places where people can talk about what it's been like to have. I have worked with tarantulas. Now, I did it as an education, but the tarantulas we had were rescued from somebody that was keeping them in their home. The problem was that once the teenager didn't want it anymore, the family didn't want to take care of it. And arachnoids, specifically spiders, have, like everybody else, temperature control, food issues, medical needs. That's what you have to look at. What does this cat need? What does a dog need? What does a hamster need? What does a crawdad need? If you don't know what a crawdad is, go look it up. I'm not gonna. It's part of the ocean. And what if I want a spider? What if I want a hamster or a mouse? Or the list goes on and on about the types of animals people keep as pets. The exciting part I want you to look at, as really is exciting part as a parent, you can teach and show your kids how to live cohesively and respectfully by having pets. I think people grow and learn compassion and understanding of another being that doesn't speak English. And I hope we carry that over into our people relationships in kindness, in thoughtfulness, and saying, okay, maybe Bob doesn't like soccer because he just doesn't like soccer, instead of, oh, it's me or them or whatever. Animals don't do revenge. I hear this all the time. Oh, my animal's doing that. No, dogs, I've seen some pretty bizarre behavior by house pets. And it's very interesting on how the people are responding and or training their animal. So a lot of times it's that miscommunication. You can have a pack leader that is your pet. That's not the way it should be, but maybe it works in your family. I am never going to say all is wrong, all is nothing. There are nuances to everybody's choice. So when you decide that you and your child would like to get a pet, I highly suggest, I can't suggest this enough, get one you, the parent, are willing to care for full time. If you go in understanding that it might not work out with your child, and I really stress, don't get a pet if your thoughts are, oh, I'll just rehouse them. Well, that's really traumatic for the pet. It's really, really, really traumatic for the pet. Some never recover from losing their families. And it can be from death. It can be from rehoming. It can, a new spouse, a new child. There's a lot of reasons why animals get rehomed. Please, please understand. I don't care if it's a tarantula, a squirrel, hopefully you're not getting one of those, a chipmunk, none of those, but a guinea pig, a bunny, a dog, a cat, whatever you're getting or whatever you're contemplating getting, make sure you and your child or children, should be the whole family, is learning before getting everything you can possibly get your hands on. With the internet and YouTube and so many other free sites, all of us animal people are trying to give out so much free information. Please do the homework on the animal you're thinking about. The lizard's going to need heat, and the dog's going to need to be walked, and the cat needs to be left alone good chunks of the day, and just depends on their personality and your lifestyle. Everything can change, just like with people. I have worked with homeless people who have pets. Where are they staying? In their cars. But these animals, most of the time dogs, but there were a few cats. These animals are completely devoted to their people because they're kind, they're loving, they understand there might be medical issues. One had mental illness, one had an alcohol addiction. And when an animal or a person gets treated well, regardless of these rough decisions and rough life happenings, it is a wonderful relationship. So again, children should be supervised at all time, especially if they're young. And that doesn't mean necessarily chronologically young. I've met people that are in their 30s and act like they're 12. And I've met 12-year-olds who act like they're 45. So it's not about their actual chronological age, is how they see the world, how they approach a task. You as the parent will know, let's give this a chance. Let's give it a try. And then I highly recommend, really, really, really recommend, if this is especially the family's first pet, foster. We so need so many foster families. What that means is you go to the shelter and ask if they need a walker. Now, somebody who walks the dogs has to be an adult, or usually with an adult, and there's an age issue. So that's one thing. But with the small children and any of the animal that you cannot do that, go and stay with, go visit friends and let them walk the dog. Especially if the animal is already really conditioned to children and small ones, big ones, loud ones. It's a great introduction to where you want to get to, and great behavior, and how that happens with complete devotion. But remember, every animal is as unique as every human being and needs to be treated as such.
Of course, lots of great information that you're sharing. I really appreciate the fact that you're asking people to do their research. You're asking them to go and foster. And I think that we get so caught up in the moment that Susie wants a pet, but yet the pet's going to live hopefully for years, 10 plus years, depending on what kind of pet it is. Now, obviously, some pets live much longer lives. Let's talk about birds. And I know that you've had some experience with having a pet bird yourself. And I don't know that the neighbors were too happy.
No. Sun conure, one of the loudest little bitty birds, beautiful, but wow, she was loud. They finally told me, I always know when you get up in the morning. I'm thinking, that's kind of creepy. When you can track everything I do, because Maggie was her name. And so she was wonderful. She was beautiful. And every time I got up, and she was bonded to me, of course, because I'm doing 90%. My kids were fairly young. And so every time I got up, she would announce to the entire eastern coastline, best western coastline is what I'm on, and all my kids, they would always say, we can never sleep in. So literally I had to lock myself in my bedroom, because if she heard me wrestling around, or God forbid I went to the bathroom or anything, then she would announce it to the entire house. And if you've ever been around a sun conure, they're incredibly loud. They're incredibly loud. My neighbor finally told me, I always know when you get up in the morning. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of creepy. And she's like, yeah, because Maggie, I can hear her. As soon as you get up, Maggie starts screaming. And I'm like, wow, I don't know how I feel about that. And it's nothing we can do about it. So understand what you're adopting. You know a dog's going to bark, then you need to know about that. Dogs do a lot of conversation with their tail and their face, and they can come without barking. Birds, on the other hand, don't have a tail. They have a feathered tail, but it doesn't wag as well. So their communication is to nip at you, to fly at you, to jump on you, to, stretch their wings. But their ultimate conversation is going to be, I'm in this cage, so I gotta call it out. And they don't need a megaphone, is to screech at you, is to tweet at you, whatever their version of it is. A sun conure and a parrot, there's a competition there somewhere. And who's louder? The sun conure to me was a higher pitch, which carries farther, I believe. And the parrots are a little bit deeper, not all of them. So nothing is all. Please, please do your research. If you can find a shelter that has that type of animal you're looking at, like maybe you're looking for a guinea pig instead of a dog. Maybe you're thinking, I remember, and Dr. Jacalyn, maybe you went through this. All my friends had hamsters. I don't know what that was about, but there was everybody had a hamster. I didn't have a hamster. My mom didn't want that kind of stuff. And you have to know, you have to clean the cages. If you feel like, oh, I can't have a rabbit, or I can't have a guinea pig, or a snake, or any of the caged animals, regardless of what kind of cage, and you're not willing to clean their cage every week, don't get one. It's the same as saying you've got to take your dog for a walk. You have to take your dog for a walk. Now, if you have a tiny, tiny, tiny little dog, and it's got little bitty legs, Chihuahua, anything in that size, then you're going to need to walk very short up the corner and back. But a lot of them are highly intelligent, which means their mind needs to be worked, which is part of the walking, part of other types of things. I've even seen people get treadmills and have their dogs because they are either handicapped or they couldn't get them out. Now, I'm not advocating this. I'm just saying I have seen it done. And if it works for you and you are able to keep the animal safe, all of those types of things, as far as they know that they can fall off the back, especially if they're on a leash, to start walking. A lot of people train that way and introduce it. But we have a responsibility for the lives we adopt. And what I'm trying to open your mind, sorry for interrupting, trying to open your mind to the possibilities.
I just want to touch on what you just said. So someone that you know of actually put their dog on the treadmill, and the dog is getting its exercise that way, and that's safe?
She was medically homebound in a wheelchair. And so the dog originally was to be her companion. And her condition deteriorated to the point where she, her hands curled in, and it was really, really difficult for her, except for the motorized, it's like the joystick for the games. Her wheelchair was that way. The animals are so good for our health. You and I both know this, having pets. They're so good for our health, and it's so good for people with limitations. So she could not take her dog out for enough walks or any walks. They could go to the doctor and back, and the dog was on duty, would wear the jacket. Dog was on first duty. So what we talked about is, let's give the treadmill a try. So we were able to go to a friend's house who had a treadmill. And what we did is, on the handle, we hooked up a very easy, I forget what it's called. It's a hook that that some people use for their keys, and we put the leash on there, but very low. So we worked together with her neighbor who this was the house that had the treadmill, and teaching the dog how to walk and how it stops and how it slows down, not to get hurt, not to be felt like they're dragged. It's kind of scary when they first go on it. So doing it with a person is really important. So we got our dog trained to the treadmill, and they ergonomically changed the way the chair could stop. The treadmill was stopped remotely. There was just a lot put into it because she had the support of a professional team also. So I'm not saying this is for everybody, but a lot of time and effort went in to see if the dog would even like doing it. Because if they don't like doing it, then it's literally a fight. So you have the railing at where all the on buttons are and stuff like that, and you can tie a leash there. You want to make sure that if there's any kind of trouble, that the leash can come off over their head and they can release themselves, especially if you're dealing with somebody who has limitations and might not be able to get to the pet in time to help. There's also a break and release leash and collar, where with enough pressure, the collar comes up. And that keeps animals, especially the dogs that usually wear these, that keeps them from getting stopped or pulled somewhere, and the leash will break away so that he doesn't choke to death or get trapped that way. So there are tools, and I can't even imagine how much better they should be today than what I saw 15 years ago.
Well, there you have it, folks. There's some great ideas to consider. Maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't. One thing I just want to mention when you were talking about the small dogs or the size of their legs, I see this a lot there where I live. There are a lot of people walking dogs, but I also see people on skateboards literally pulling dogs. I see people on bicycles with dogs on leashes, but in each case, they're all small dogs and they're not keeping up with the person on the bike or the skateboard or etc. Isn't this dangerous?
Oh, absolutely. Even as I've said before, even doing this with my shepherd, it was dangerous because all he had to do was lean too close. Because I was having the attachment that now goes to the back wheel and the leash and collar and goes, and so it's in line with the back of the dog, but not a pug, not a 10-pound bulldog. I don't know how a bulldog runs. Have you seen those little bitty legs? It's not really possible. So you have to remember, not everything is for everybody. Okay, not everybody is for every tool. So you really, really, please check with your vet. Check with a trainer. Watch videos like this that you can see on YouTube about all of us who are passionate and work in the animal field to say, that's great for a shepherd or a collie or a golden or a poodle. That's a standard poodle, not the little guys. Anybody, I can't even say anybody under 15 pounds, because you can get a really tall dog that's really, really thin and might be only 15 pounds. So you need to realize that if you're going for the shorter breeds, if I had to give it quantification, if the dog's back is at your knee, you should be fine or above. If your dog's back is at your calf, don't ride them running next to your bike. The risk is too grave. They're too small to prevent being pulled into the spokes of the bike. It's not worth it.
There we have it. And I hope people just really think about it. If you want to get out for some exercise, maybe this is your only time, you think, wow, this is a great time to take Susie with me or Billy with me, whatever the case is. But that could be selfish. It could be selfish if it's, you're running at a certain pace, you're riding at a certain pace, and the dog is supposed to try to keep up, and you could even break its neck or anything could happen.
Well, and the worst part is I've seen, when you work at a vet clinic, you see a lot of things you don't really want to ever see again. And one of the puppies got an eye puppy eye. It was a dog, mid-size. She was probably about 25 pounds, so not bad, but mid-size, about calf size. And she got caught in the spokes. And they weren't sure they were going to able to save her foot. It was a lot of intervention by the veterinarian. It was a lot of recovery time. And she got first, the wheel, she got too close to the wheel and the wheel rolled over her toes. And when she jumped up, to stop, I can't remember, but what I think happened, this was a long time ago, the owner didn't notice it, of course, at the first yelp. And then they stopped, the wheel takes a while and they get stopped, but the dog got her foot caught in the spokes and it went around a couple of times before they got it stopped. And she ended up losing her foot, was the bottom half of this tragic story. And we really, really don't want that. So what's really nice is they have these leash holders and they go like this far from the wheel. So you've got to have a lot of road. You've got to have a lot of bike area if you're outside in a public place. So many places have bike lanes and the gutter. But you have to realize just because you want to ride a bike doesn't mean the dog wants to run alongside you. I really want to stress, find out who your pet is, what they love, what you can encourage them to love, and what you just need to leave alone. And decide that's not within your relationship. We do it with people. Please do it with animals, right? Absolutely. Not everybody likes plants. I have tons of plants in my life, but I don't talk about plants with a lot of my friends. It bores them to death.
It's a plant-free conversation.
It's a plant-free conversation. And believe it or not, there's a lot of space in my life where I don't talk about animals. I get it out of my system every Friday, but Thursday I'm a little dicey, but everybody knows that if they're close to me in any way, that's my passion. And I'm going to run into, that conversation. The hardest part, I don't know if you did this with your platforms, but I don't know, you might be more restrained. When you're doing something new, like, let me use this show as a perfect example. I was a brand new co-host on your show. I told everybody, I didn't stop the mailman. I didn't do that. But, you tell your aunt, your sister, it comes up to the cashier of every store you buy something from. I'm so excited that you're doing this. And that happens when you have an animal and you have a great relationship, or you want to have a great relationship, or I'm going to look for a new puppy. I'm going to look for a new kitty. That's all great. Just remember, you're going to start something new with your pet. Like you're going to walk through the deep redwoods, or you're going to do this. Just check in with your pet. Realize new things that they don't understand could be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying when they don't know what's going on. I don't know if you ever experienced this with your dogs, Dr. Jacalyn, but a lot of people will talk about like somebody dropped a recycle can, like a 7-Up cup, a can, or a watered up piece of paper. I've had my shepherd. He was German bred, so he's not as big as the Americans tend to make them, but he was still all of, 60 pounds to my height. And, the tumbleweed goes by or the can goes by. And the first couple of times I really had to stop, let him look at it, let him realize it wasn't. Now, if it was no big deal for me, I would pick it up, let him smell it. And then, of course, if it was trash, I would hold on to it and throw it away. You need to take the scary out of what shouldn't be scary. Tumbleweeds running by an animal who hadn't been outside to do that is terrifying. Let me tell you that I rescued a horse. I talked about her a couple of times, and we called her Dee. And so actually Dietrich, that was the male. I'm going to talk about the male. And he was abandoned. They gave him a bath with Skin So Soft baby oil. It's an Avon product, and it's a wonderful product, not for horses. So the previous owner and their kids decided that it would make the coat shiny for the horse. Well, guess what? Good food, a good brushing, exercise makes a coat shiny. So they put this baby oil on the horse, but didn't wash it off. And that would have taken a lot of soap, but they didn't wash it off. So the horse literally cooked in the sun with baby oil on it, with their fur. Dietrich ended up getting an upper respiratory, had hoof problems, blah, blah, blah. I got him at the end of the medication from the veterinarian. And again, another rescue I took on, and found out most horses wear shoes. Dietrich could not wear shoes. His feet were so sore. It took me 2 years to get him to the place where we could ride him without pain or exercise him in a barn. And you wonder why. Why would I take on such a big animal, pay the boarding fees, because I don't live in a place where I had him at home, because I can. And I learned so much, and I learned compassion. But I also learned to tell others and said, okay, well, baby oil is great for people, not for animals. If you cross it over and there's some little dab on a cotton ball or something like that, I'd love to hear from everybody if they've got home remedies that are working, but you're not using a bottle. What they did is they used the whole bottle and poured it on the horse and rubbed it all in, making his coat shiny. And it sealed his coat. It's like sealing your skin, and you can no longer breathe. Your skin can't breathe. You have to have that. And he couldn't. They didn't know that. And he just got an upper respiratory. You should have heard this horse cough. And I've actually been on him when he's done it, and it's just this huge heave. Because he would go on to have lung problems for the rest of his life. And he didn't smoke once.
Wow. Amazing.
But I'm thrilled that I have the proclivity, the passion for these types of animals, and I'm not alone. There's so many people that do the hard work, that will do the three-legged dog, that will do the three-legged whatever, the iguana that's allergic to sun. I have seen them. That's very weird, but it happens, and it's about what we're doing. We're interbreeding. We're changing breed. We want this head, this toe, this fur, this, pick something. I want blue eyes with a fuzzy, tufty tail. We're mucking with years of genes, and we're mucking with their health, because animals are put together to do and be a certain way. Now, I'm not saying you can't, but if I get a German Shepherd, which I had, and then I have to put metal bars and cut into their ears and attach metal bars to their ears. Do you remember this when we were kids?
Mm-hmm.
And that was to crop their ears so they would stand up like a Doberman or another breed that actually comes up, because they want it to look really cool or mean or whatever they were going for. I'm sorry. Would you like me to cut your ears so that I can make them, come out this way because I think you look great as a clown, or whatever you decided was more beautiful? No. So why wouldn't I take that dog on? Because otherwise he would have gone to the shelter and they would have euthanized him. It was far too much care that any of them could give him. And he was tattooed, purebred, was bred as a working dog for the blind and or for the handicapped. Through his tattoo, I found his breeder. She was devastated on how his life had gone. Luckily, we got him at about 4 years of age, because I've said this before, we bought the house where he was dumped.
Right.
Big jumper jumper drumming around there. And he was wonderful with the girls, even though he was face to face with them, because he was a gentle soul. But he would cough. If you've never seen a dog cough from their chest, it looks like he's going to stop breathing.
Painful.
It was awful. And we went through that for 2 years. And he was with us for 10. before he died of old age. And we had a wonderful time. And he became a therapy dog, but he also became an ambassador. I used to go to the convalescent homes with him. I used to go because he had a perfect demeanor for being a really great inspiration for everybody. And he loved kids. He would sit around and let the girls lay on him, sleep on him. They could put their paws, and they were little at the time. So his soul was worth saving and giving him a better life. And if you can do that, the shelter has plenty of animals to love. And remember, spay, neuter, get their vaccines, and try not to use Skin So Soft on the pets.
Well, you've given us a lot of great things to think about. As always great advice and direction. How can people reach out to you? How can they hire you? How can they contact you with their questions?
Yep. And if you want to laugh a lot more, I'm on Facebook. Everything is under bridgingworlds.us. BRIDGINGWORLDS.us. Everything you want to know about me, finding all of our shows are of course on YouTube, but I also have them linked there. Everything. I try to give as much free information because God gave me this gift and the ability to study for even more details. And I really, really honor Dr. Jacalyn for you giving me the platform to continue to give it away for free, because I feel so passionate about that we can do better.
Well, thank you. I honor you and appreciate you. And I'm just truly blessed that you and I connected and that we're doing this together. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye for now. And thanks to each and every one of you. Please do reach out to Pet AMINAH. All you have to do is go to bridgingworlds.us, go to Facebook. She's also on LinkedIn. Connect. I strongly recommend, people are here giving education, providing hope and inspiration. Reach out. They want to hear from you. All right, I just want to tell you a couple quick things about Monday. Monday, we have a special show, which is called the Spelling Bee Game Show. We have Caroline Heward, one of our team members. She's from London. She's going to be going head-to-head against our other team member, Janetta Barry, who is in Africa. And they will have 30 words that they have to spell over 3 different episodes. So on Monday, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, they will have 10 words each to spell. Also, we have a new show coming called Food and Our Emotions. It's actually a 6-part series. It's now, I think, 12 parts because we've had so many people reach out. We're going to be talking about sustainability. We're going to be talking about farming. We're going to be talking about the relationships that we have with food, sometimes very dysfunctional, other times very joyful, celebratory. We're going to be meeting with chefs. We're going to be meeting with therapists. So please do join us for that. That starts in January. And that's all that I have for today. Thank you again for being here. I really do appreciate it. Again, go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio, and click subscribe so that you can be part of our journey to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Bye for now. Have a beautiful weekend.